public health risk.
WHO spokesperson Gregory Hartl was speaking at a regular news conference in Geneva on Friday. He said the WHO finds no public health reason to avoid travel to Japan except to the affected areas or to recommend that foreign nationals leave the country. Some countries are encouraging their citizens to leave Japan or are moving their embassies from Tokyo to Osaka. Referring to examination of Japanese food imports by some countries, he said he cannot imagine that any food from the quake-damaged areas could have been delivered since the tremor. He said he concludes that there is no risk of exported Japanese food being contaminated with radiation. 1 week has passed since the magnitude 9 earthquake hit northeastern Japan. The number of dead has reached over 7,000, the worst ever death toll in a natural disaster in Japan since World War II. Nearly 20,000 are still missing. Japan's National Police Agency says 7,197 deaths have been confirmed and over 18,000 people remain unaccounted for. The death toll exceeds that of the Great Hanshin earthquake in 1995, which killed 6,434. More than 280,000 people are taking shelter, mainly in 3 prefectures in the Tohoku region, northeastern Japan. Many of the shelters are short of food, water, and other essential supplies. Relief efforts are being hampered by a shortage of fuel for trucks and ambulances. Evacuees in the shelters are facing chilly weather. Weather officials warn that high tides are likely to last for 1 week from Saturday. Some ground levels in quake-hit areas have sunk, leaving coastal areas vulnerable to flooding. But officials say the threat from tides is not like that from a tsunami, as people will have time to act, given that sea levels will increase gradually. Up next, the world weather forecast. We leave you with the footage taken from Fukushima. Firefighters have resumed spraying water over the number 3 reactor at a quake-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to cool the troubled reactor. That's all for this edition of Newsline. We'll bring you more updates at the top of the hour.
Here's
the news. At the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, the Tokyo Metropolitan Fire Department resumed their water spraying operation for number 3 reactor. They are using a super pump truck as well as a long-arm water cannon to spray water over number 3 reactor that is being troubled. And the watering is to continue for 7 hours. The water is aimed at from above into the reactor's spent fuel pool, where the temperature is rising. They have 300-meter-long hose to bring in seawater from a remote location from the reactor, and it is connected to a long-arm fire engine to launch water, the discharge water, from the height of 22 meters height. The Metropolitan Fire Department says that they have stationed all the vehicles necessary as well as the hosing, and they are sending in different groups of workers to take turns in carrying out this mission. And also, at one point, the equipments are left by themselves, and the operation will be continued without no one attending these machines. When 7 hours of spraying is finished, 60 tons of water will have been sprayed into the spent fuel pool. The government's special task force says they are going to bring in a new machine to spray water from a high point that was the same type used in the Chernobyl nuclear plant accident. And the vehicle is heading towards the Fukushima nuclear power plant right now. It is made in Germany, and it is usually used to pour in the raw concrete with a high pressure. And it is very good at spraying water to a specific point. The Nuclear Industry and Safety Agency says that the water temperature in the spent fuel pool is rising, and at the number 5 and number 6 reactors, but the pumps are now being recovered and resumed moving gradually. So the cooling has been resumed for the number 5 reactors spent fuel pool. The agency at this morning's news conference said that residents living between the radius of 20 to 30 kilometers of the nuclear plant say that they are advised to use vehicles rather than walking when they have to move, and they should wear masks, and they should not expose their skins, and they should not be exposed under rain. And they issued these advices because many residents who are advised to stay inside are worrying that they will never be able to go out at all. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister Naoto Kan telephoned the opposition, the LDP leader, President Sadakazu Tanigaki, this morning, and said there is a need for the new country to unite its power to face this crisis, and they offered a grand coalition with the LDP and asked Tanigaki to join the cabinet. But Tanigaki is said to have refused this request. The current crisis caused the larger casualty than the Hanshin earthquake, and this has become the worst natural disaster case Japan is experiencing since World War II. And Kan telephoned the head of the largest opposition party, Liberal Democratic Party, and said that the government needs all the power it can gather to address the current crisis, the aftermath of the earthquake and tsunami, as well as the nuclear power plant problems. And Kan asked Tanigaki to join the cabinet as Deputy Prime Minister in charge of the earthquake and tsunami affairs. Tanigaki is said to have told Kan that the LDP has offered all its help through the diet activities and other aspects. But so he cannot think of joining the cabinet right now at this point, but he's going to discuss the matter with the party leaders. Now we are joined by our commentators to come back to the nuclear power plant accident. Now the water discharge operation is resumed. What is the current status? The watering activity is going smoothly. Before starting today's operation, the battery of the water cannon car went up, and there was a concern that the water discharge could not take place today. However, we have a super pump truck behind the water discharger, and this pump truck has a big battery, and in a picture it's on the left on the screen, and it has a very strong water pressure to send water to the water cannon vehicle. So even though the water cannon does not have enough battery, the super pump truck has sufficient battery power and sufficient power to send water. So this scheme was set up, and the vehicles are left by themselves, and the operation is going on unmanned. What are we going to see from now on? The securing the battery and the power source was very important, and this area has a very high level of radioactivity, so it is necessary to protect people who are involved. So it is necessary to secure enough manpower to send in replacements for the duration of the operation. So the watering is continuing. And what can we say about the status of the spent fuel pool where the water is aimed at? What do you think we can say, Mr. Mizuno? Well, we do not know how much water has gone in. And earlier today, about 60 tons of water is said to have poured in. And even if all of the water ended up in the pool, much of it could have evaporated already. So if we can continue the current watering operation for 7 hours, we'll be able to pour in 1,260 tons of water in the end. And if that can be done, we will be able to bring down the temperature of the pool as well as contain the radioactive material from coming out into the atmosphere. Also, at this nuclear power plant, the work to restore power source is going on. The current watering activity is only a temporary measure. In order to restore the cooling power of the nuclear reactors, it is necessary to restart all the pumps. And to do that, we need power to be restored. During the earthquake, the power lines went down and the outside power source could not be connected. However, up here to here, we had power up here from the Tohoku Electric Power Plant. And we can connect this power to these reactors. And up until yesterday, they put in a transformer here, and it was connected to number 2 reactor. So it's desirable to take a shortcut. However, there is debris from the past explosions, and it is not possible to install a line directly in a short distance. And right now, they are not going to put up power poles, but they are going to lay power line on the ground. So they stretched 1.5 kilometer length of power line going around the premises, and they are trying to connect this line to this newly installed transformer. And work was to be over this morning, but it's not complete yet. And if this is connected, the power source will be restored, but we must clean up all the water pumps for the coolant systems because they have been submerged in the tsunami. So it will be late this evening when we can restore the coolant pump going. What other works are going to take place tonight? We have some picture